Welcome to Taking Stock. I'm Amanda Lang. Coming up, as costs remain high, how are small businesses coping? And grocers say they are not to blame for higher food costs, but have promised a plan for lower prices. Plus, new rules are coming to increase competition in the food sector. That's all ahead. First, for the week that was in business, it's time for the briefs. Canada's inflation rate jumped higher in August to 4%, driven by a climb in gasoline prices. The increase was a disappointment after July's moderating rate of 3.3%, and even measures that strip out volatile prices showed gains in August. The inflation data underscored the notion that the central bank may raise rates yet again. The heads of Canada's 5 largest grocers met with the industry minister this week and agreed to work to stabilize food prices. While details of what that means exactly have not been offered yet, the grocers are expected to present their plans by Thanksgiving. The government said it will amend the Competition Act to include a higher bar for mergers in the sector. Workers at Ford Motor in Canada have reached a tentative agreement on wages and other concessions that might avert a strike here. GM and Stellantis are expected to fall in line with the Ford deal, but the agreement has yet to be ratified by the workers themselves. A resilient U.S. economy will keep global growth at 3% this year, according to the latest OECD forecast. That's an improvement on the previous outlook, but thanks to China's weaker economic outlook, the OECD now expects global growth to be slower in 2024, now 2.7%. In a show of optimism, shares of pandemic darling Instacart had a strong market debut this week. The grocery delivery firm is valued at significantly less than it was just a few months ago, but it persuaded investors that it can pivot to include consumer data and advertising along with its core delivery business. Amazon says it will hire 250,000 seasonal workers this year. Canada will see an additional 6,000 jobs across full-time, part-time, and seasonal roles. It has more than 60 logistics sites in Canada and plans to add 2 more this year. And those are your business briefs. Inflationary pressures are one of the biggest hardships for small businesses, and navigating a lack of predictability makes their life even more complicated. So what are businesses doing to cope with that pressure? Isabelle Hudon is President and CEO of the Business Development Bank of Canada. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Amanda, for the invitation.
So you see these businesses, they're your clients, or potential clients. Where does the rising costs of things for their own entrepreneurial businesses fit into the mix for them right now?
Well, it's everywhere, Amanda, and you're right to say that what they're going through right now, our clients and other SMEs across the country, is not necessarily the lack of interest for their services or their products, but it's the cost of doing business. Everything costs more, and they're trying to do and to deliver what their clients are expecting and not to transfer all additional costs. So it's slightly different than other crises that almost all SMEs experience over the last decades. Usually there's a drop in interest for products and services, but here the list of potential clients for them is longer and longer, but the costs are getting higher and higher. So we're trying to be there, BDC, to help them keep on delivering their projects, keep on delivering their expansion, but it's not easy.
And of course, we have seen that some large companies, especially kind of consumer facing, the grocers are obviously very much in the topic of conversation, are able to raise prices, maybe not more than their cost, but when their costs go up, they're able to raise the price of the good to match the cost. Is that true for a small business, or is it harder when you're smaller to do that?
Way harder. First of all, they don't have the power on any market, and they're not in a position to be market shaper. They have to respond to what their clients are expecting, and those clients shopping around, they have other options. So it's way more difficult for a small, medium-sized business to raise the cost at the level of their costs. So it's very difficult and they're struggling, and then they'll want to let go the orders that they do receive. They want to keep on delivering, but they're struggling.
So obviously, as the quasi bank, you're a lender to these companies. What kind of time frame are we talking about? I know there's a lack of predictability, but when we think about kind of how long, what is this period they have to struggle through? Do you know what your analysts are using? Are they thinking in terms of months or years, or do we even have any idea?
Well, last year we were talking about the next 12, 18 months. And really, Amanda, like I would love to have a crystal ball and to say that it's going to be less than a year. But we're talking at least a year, if not two. So, and I hope I might be wrong, Amanda, and wrong in the good way, meaning that it could be a shorter period. But inflation is slow to drop because the activity level is quite high. So inflation is slow to drop, and I don't foresee short term any big changes. But we're following closely, and we're not short of surprises, Amanda.
True enough. Isabelle, so good to have you with us. Appreciate your time.
Merci.
Isabelle Hudon is President and CEO of the Business Development Bank of Canada. Coming up, the politics of inflation just won't leave Canada's big grocers alone. Stay with us.